What is up, CSGs? Your Houston Rockets just beat the brakes off of the Golden State Warriors at Golden State, which, if you guys know, we just broke the streak of losing to them for, 5 years. And to beat them on the road really does show the growth of this young Rockets team over this season. I mean, the growth from where we were when the season started, executing in late game situations, being able to stick to a specific game plan, executing the half court setting, which at some points in the season, we were one of the worst half court offenses in the NBA, to get to where we are now, where we're doing this on the road at Golden State versus Draymond and Steph and all that is just simply amazing to see. Really just hats off to the entire Rockets team. The game was crazy, was nuts. Draymond was unhinged, should have been damn near arrested, attacking players. But just all around a crazy game. But we came away putting belt to ass on the Golden State Warriors. Game plan was definitely no Steph Curry. Anyone but Steph Curry. That was the game plan. Just like it was anyone but SGA. Just like it was anyone but LeBron and Luka. And I think this is kind of the calling card for Ime Udoka as a coach. He really does allow your other guys to try to beat the team. That's what he's going to do. You think about that Lakers game. They're, having Gabe Vincent and whoever the other dude, I'm forgetting his name right now, going, 7, Dorian Finney-Smith. I think they went damn near 10 of 13 or something stupid from 3 to really beat us. And Luka and LeBron having really subpar games. That is the plan, right? We're going to take away your best player, and the only way you can do that is if you have a player and a defender of the caliber of Amen Thompson. In my opinion, Amen Thompson should be on the short list of Defensive Player of the Year consideration. He is a no-brainer, all-NBA defender. First team, probably the best perimeter defender in the NBA. He guards all sorts of body types. Amen can guard wings. He can guard guards. You can try to post him up. I would say if he had a weakness would be in the post ups, but otherwise anywhere he is on the court, he is a menace. And if he is attacking the other team's best player, they're going to have a rough night. Then on that back end, you put smart defensive rotations, and that's what you get when you really hold the first team of the Golden State Warriors to 90 points. Our backups came in and gave up a couple of buckets there late, but we held the Warriors on the road to 90 points in a very, very contested, very aggressive game. But just going through the game, first quarter, we looked scared. Like it looked like another, what are the Rockets going to do, right? This is one of these games. This is what I was thinking. Like, damn, bro, we look shook. Şengün looked scared. Bro was taking threes. He was taking pull-up shots from 18 feet. Jalen was missing everything. Fred was fumbling the ball. Everybody was just playing out of sorts. Tari was playing like a dope. It was just all over the place. We didn't look like ourselves until, obviously, the altercation happened, I think. And Şengün said it after the post-game interview with Vanessa. That altercation with him and Draymond, where Draymond basically elbowed him to the teeth and nose area, knocked him on the floor. He said that woke him up. And then the next play, he had that layup where he came up talking his stuff. And then the team just kind of picked up the pace from there, and it was on. And I think that, sometimes some people just need that, right? We need that. We just need that. It seems like when we get into fights and aggressive situations, the team turns up. But that's what they needed to wake them up. And it was effective because from then on, the whole character of the game just shook. We became the aggressors. We imposed our will on the Warriors, which we are used to them doing that to us. Just a great game from Amen Thompson being able to shut down Steph. Great trapping by Şengün when he was out there, because that's an issue that he has struggled with throughout his career. When they would try to blitz and trap shooters, he would either get there too late where they'll beat him around the corner, or he wouldn't show high enough real fast and the guy still gets a shot off. They were trapping real good tonight. You had Jalen playing good isolation defense on Steph when he had a turn. Amen doing his thing. You had Bari doing his thing. Just everybody just really played their part, bro. It was really a great team win. And y'all don't understand the amount of mental pressure it is to guard that offense. To me, our best defense against the Warriors is when we're forcing them into traps and forcing them into short rolls. And a lot of times, Draymond in a short roll is deadly, but it's not the same, bro. It's not the same. If y'all watch this channel, I've made videos over the years using analogs of the Warriors as kind of the standard of the short roll. And hopefully one day our players will get to that point where we can have the gravity of Steph and Draymond in a pick and roll. But it does matter who you're kicking the ball out to, right? It's when it's Draymond and Steph in a pick and roll, short roll, and you're giving that up to Klay Thompson, hell to Iguodala, you're to the likes of those type of players. You're kicking it out to these high IQ vets, the Sean Livingstons of the world, the Kevin Durant's. It's different when it's not those guys, bro. It's different when it's Kuminga out there on the corner, right? When it's Moody, even though Moody can shoot. When it's Pods, even though Pods can shoot. It's just not the same, bro. It's not the same. So I will live with taking away Steph and just forcing Draymond into the short roll. He's going to make the right play. The only problem is the dudes, the Buddy Hills of the world, I don't trust them. Because at least with Klay and Dre and Steph and Iggy and the old Warriors of the past, once they kick it out to the short roll and Draymond pass it out after he's rolling, it's not over. There's somebody cutting. They're setting a flare screen, so it never stops. Their actions are just keep going. What I'm seeing with these new Warriors, they still have a lot of their same actions, but they're only like one or two dimensional. It's not a infinite cycle of just cuts and slips and screens like we've seen. And it's because they're young. They're a younger version of themselves. They very well could get better, as the years go along, but it's not the same team. So I will live with that. But, the game plan on Steph, trapping him, blitzing him, letting him see length, see a lot of bodies, super effective. Had probably one of his worst games. He only had 3 points, bro. 1 for 8. Just bad all around. One of his worst games. Took him out the game. Took Draymond out the game with our rebounding and physicality, which is usually something the Warriors have really made a lot of money on, is out rebounding teams. I don't even know what the rebounding margin is. I'm literally recording this right after the game. I don't know what the rebounding margin is, but whatever it was, it felt like we out rebounded the Warriors, bro. It felt like we out rebounded. Let me look. I can look right now, guys. I can look right now. Let's see. Offensive rebounds, Houston 16, Golden State 15. Defensive rebounds 30. Yeah, we out rebounded. We got rebounded by 5. 7 blocks for us, 2 to theirs. 11 steals to 12 of their steals. We only had 16. They had 20 turnovers. Scored 19 off their turnovers. That's how you got to win. Free throws were an issue, but we made up for it on the glass and turnovers and other ways, and just really took the life out of them. They were frustrated, ready to fight. Jimmy Butler was a non-factor. Jimmy Butler was a non-factor. He was a non-factor because he doesn't space the floor. He is big, and he wants to post up, but even when you try to hunt some of our bigs, he doesn't have enough wiggle to really punish them. So we're forcing Jimmy into jump shots. He can kill you from there if he gets hot, but I'll live with that. Steph Curry's the starter that stirs their drink. So you're going to live with anybody else beating you. That's why I said in a 7-game series, the way we played the Lakers, I'll take my chances. We'll probably lose in 7 just because I think they have better vets and smarter players than ours right now because our guys are young. But if Dorian Finney-Smith and the likes of him are the players that are going to go 6 for 8 from 3 and beat you, hey, tip of your hat, bro. You did your thing. If Pods wants to drop 30 and Kuminga is going to have 28 and Steph is going to have 8 points, 10 points, then you live with that. Still don't want to see the Warriors in a 7-game series at all. Do not want to see it for multiple reasons. I just don't want to see it. I think that they would still beat us, in my opinion, because I feel like they just have better, smarter players. I still think that we are about one experience away in the playoffs of really being a team that, okay, we ain't worried about y'all because the talent is just that much more overwhelming. I still think that we have more depth and talent than the Warriors. They have more collective IQ than we do. And I just feel like in a playoff setting, I think a young team like ours against veteran teams, whether it's Denver, whether it's Lakers or the Warriors, I think that if we may be able to beat them initially, I think when the counters start coming, that's where the separation comes and when the counters. And that's really what the playoffs are about. And y'all are going to see what I'm talking about. Y'all know I know ball. When the counters come, that's where it gets interesting. You're forced, stripped down to your best action. Your best players have to rise. I just don't think our guys are at that level yet. I think they will be there next year, as early as next year. but great win. Didn't see a lot of the double bigs in this game, obviously because of Steph, but they did employ the double bigs. Has been devastating teams. I think last I checked it was a plus 31 in net rating. Just a great lineup that we found late in the season. We were forced into it, right? We were forced into that lineup, but just great for to find and really utilize Steven Adams' strength on the interior as a rebounder. That guy is a mound, bro. That guy's a mound. And what you see is when Steven is down there in the paint, boxing out, he has to be accounted for by another player, right? Because even if we take bad shots, if he's just standing in the paint unaccounted for, he's going to tip it back in. He's going to get the rebound. He's going to give us another possession. So you have to sacrifice a player, preferably somebody his size, to be able to go and box out with them. And usually what that does is it takes away one person out the paint. Because that fight is not a light fight where you can box him out and contest the shot at the same time. So essentially, Steven Adams has the same gravity as a 42% three-point shooter. Because what a shooter does, everybody talks about spacing. Spacing is just the ability to warp the defense. That's all it is. That's all it is. You can space in multiple ways, not just shooting. Shooting is just a characteristic that draws space. There's multiple characteristics in basketball that draw space. And I think people get so enamored with shooting that they forget about the other aspects of the game. Like you can space by having cutting, right? Cutting is a form of spacing because the thought of a player cutting may force a defender to have to play off of a player more than up on a player. What does that do? It opens up shots for that player. So that's spacing, right? Even though the player may not be the greatest shooter, they're creating space for themselves. Or even if it's a big man that you put out on the corner or on the wing, like the Warriors do. This is what the Warriors do. They'll put like Draymond in the corner or somebody in the corner that's a non-shooter. And y'all saw a lot of it tonight. They'll hold the ball. And then what they'll do is, because you're scared of this non-shooter cutting on you, when they pass it off to a shooter that you have to account for, you back up. And when you back up to play the cuts, they take the shooter and run a screen off of that non-shooter that's on the three-point line or close to it. And guess what? Now the shooter gets screened. He's free. He's shooting a shot in your face, and it's a three. So spacing is just warping the defense based on whatever that skill set is that you are scaring the other team on. Like, so for Steven Adams, him rebounding and getting putbacks on the offensive board is generating a lot of space on the interior for our drivers, especially for Şengün. They work so well together because if you have two bigs, right, and let's say we're on offense, we have two bigs, usually one of our guards is going to call for the screen with Şengün because we want him in the action because that's our pocket pass. He can make plays, etc. Right? So if you're going to bring Şengün up, who's going to follow him? It's either going to be another big if the team that we're playing is playing two bigs. It's going to be the primary big because you don't want a smaller player having to guard him. So you're going to put a big on him. And then you'll probably put your power forward on Steven Adams like OKC did with Chet. Mismatch, right? Chet was fighting for his life, fighting for his dear life against Steven Adams, trying to box him out, fighting for his life, right? So you're bringing your true big man out to play the pick and roll. Then you're going to put a secondary big man, which usually is a smaller one, on our big man, which is Steven Adams, the bigger man. And then we already generated a mismatch. And now, so you get out P, he gets to attack whoever he wants. And then there's no help defense there because the guy's so preoccupied with boxing out Steven Adams. It's just it's a weird dynamic that really, really just works. I never foresaw this because, typically when we think about what are the best things that we want for our for Şengün, is always get a guy that can shoot threes. It may very well still be that, depending on how he develops out. But I think the dynamic between the double big lineup is really fascinating and something that we'd like to explore. I'd like to explore in different settings against different teams. I would have liked to see a little bit more of it against the Warriors. We employed it a little bit. I saw that Ime was trying to hide it from Steph, rightfully so, because the double big, you can't play it straight up because you're going to leave one of Şengün, which we're comfortable with, but Steven Adams on an island against a person that he probably doesn't need to be, and they're going to hunt that. So you employ that zone, and then, when you're doing the zone with the Warriors system, it's it gets a little dicey. But I, you kind of, one of the things about having roster of flexibility is the ability to do different things, and the fact that we have that, we can do it. We were able to go small today, and give them a different look. We can go regular with our teams, and we can go double big. Like, we have literally, the Rockets have three different offenses that we run. Three different offenses with different personnel that we run. This is going to make up for the lack of creativity by our coaching staff when it comes to our offensive system and philosophy. We make up for it by giving you different offenses that we run. The first offense is our base, right? That's Jalen, Şengün, Fred, kind of running pick and roll into that. That's our base offense. That is our bread and butter. The second type of offense that we have is our small ball lineup, right? That one is more predicated on isolation, feeding the paint, getting kickouts, cuts, things like that. That's our fast tempo lineup. Really, it's all about paint touches with that lineup, right? This is just getting whoever has the ball. You got to get your feet in the paint, and when the help comes, kick it out to get shooters open, to get guys cutting from the weak side, et cetera, et cetera. And then we have our double big lineup offense, which is just devastating for the things I said, because you literally can just throw up any bad shot and somebody's going to be there to get it. You compound the fact that you got Amen in there, you got Jabari in there sometime. When we go Adams, Şengün, Amen, Jabari, I think I saw Tari out there. It's really a lot for teams to deal with, because you may have an elite defender in Looney like the Warriors did. You may have an elite defender and a rebounder in Draymond on the inside like the Warriors do. But we got a body for that with Adams. We got a body for that with Şengün. Now you got, pods on Jabari, right? Now you got Steph on the men. You start losing that battle at some point. And Jalen gets involved in the rebounding now. And, the other guys, the Dylans and the Freds of the world, are making an effort. It has just been amazing to watch this team develop. These wins are really important for us, in my opinion, because you are trying to get geared up for the playoffs. And you want to start implementing things. There's a philosophy that some coaches have to fight against, where they have to make the decision about, should I go hard before into the playoffs, or should I, scale it back, especially teams that clinch. And we might see a case where Ime gets to make that decision. If you guys remember, Mike D'Antoni in his time here was not one to call the dogs off. He'll let guys play, maybe not the full game, but you're gonna play leading up to the playoffs. If I was an NBA coach, I would be the same way, because I'm very big believer in rhythm, timing, pace for players in their groove. And if you're in a groove like the Rockets are right now, let's say we clinch in the next game or whatever it is, and we beat the team we're supposed to play, and then you take off, it takes a lot to rev it back up. So I'm a big believer in, bro, just keep playing. The playoffs already started for the Rockets. Yeah, I mean, just keep playing. And you got a young team, just play, bro. Play and hope that nobody gets hurt. But to me, the energy they have right now, the focus, they got to bottle this up and just nurse this and try to really hit their full stride when we find out who we're going to be facing up in the playoffs. But just great win by the Rockets. Great, shout out to Coach Udoka. I think he is making a big case for Coach of the Year. I don't know if he gets it with some of the records that some of the teams have out there, but to me, the Coach of the Year shouldn't be just about records. It shouldn't be just who has the best record. You have to also paint the picture of what are you actually coaching? What parts are you working with? What is the circumstances behind your coaching job? And I think relative to where the Rockets were, he's taken them from were, 500 team. Prior to that, it was one of the worst teams in the league, to a 500 team, to now a second seed in a harder conference than the other. I think that he should be on the short list, or along with JB over in Detroit. Because once again, the narratives, you got to think about, what are you doing with this team and the parts that you have. JB is taking the Pistons from irrelevancy, literally a deadness in playoff appearance, to a team that is going to be in the playoffs in the East, which is amazing. Changing that culture changers, man. Culture changers, to me, that's a sign of a great coach. The Rockets obviously still have some things they have to iron out before the playoffs. I think the rotations are still a little bit too expansive. Did not, in close games, I don't want to see Aaron Holiday. I ain't gonna lie, bro. I ain't gonna lie. Close games, oh yeah, I got to get this off. close games, guys got to know their roles a little better. They've been doing a great job of it. You can see it happening naturally, but the random Tari Eason shots, the random Jabari self-creation, or I'm going to walk the ball up myself and dribble up and lose that dribble off light pressure and just turn it over. Bro, we cannot have any of that. You literally can lose the series off of plays like that, right? Guys got to know their role, bro. Just play your part. Nobody's a hero. You just play your part. How Jalen and Şengün had 31 and 34 against OKC, that's what you want to see. That is your fulcrum for your team. What I mean by fulcrum is the point where everything pivots from. If a team doesn't have a fulcrum, it's really hard for them to win, especially in the playoffs. You need a fulcrum. You know what I mean? The Warriors' fulcrum is Steph and Draymond. Out of that fulcrum, that's the point of the point where everything springs out. That's where the offense is generated, right? That's where the offense is generated, right? That mismatch that those players cause. And every team, every great team has that fulcrum player or players that really sets up everything. It could be a set that player is in that forces the defense to do something that opens up their offense. Whether it's Luka or LeBron in the pick and roll, and the fact that you're scared that, okay, I don't want to switch, and then he's going to cook me in a switch, but if I trap him, but if you trap it, they're going to pass it, and then out of the passes come the kick outs to the Gabe Vincents of the world, and then they play off of that. Luka and LeBron are fulcrums, right? That's the fulcrum. Or Jokic, dump it off to him. If you leave him one-on-one, he's going to cook your guy and just score 50 on you. Now you got a double. The double comes, he can pass. The passing comes. Now they're cutting off screens, shooting threes, getting layups. That's the fulcrum. Steph and Dre, we already know, pick and roll. He leaves. If you go under, Steph is pulling up a three. If you go try to fight over the screen, Steph probably still going to pull up or get in the paint. If you try to trap him, short roll, Draymond kicking out, making layups. That's the fulcrum. The Rockets have a fulcrum. We haven't fully leaned into it all the way yet, but it's going to have to happen at some point because the fulcrum is Şengün as a screener, and right now it's Fred and Jalen, but I'd love to see Jalen because I've said this before, Fred is severely limited in his ability. The pressure that Jalen puts on teams as a shooter and a driver pairs up with the pressure that you see from Şengün as the isolation player and him in a short roll or going downhill 4-on-3. That pressure, if you could nurture that pressure and then the requisite parts around that function, whether it's a man cutting from the weak side, whether it's Jabari spacing, Tari cutting or spacing, you could put different players. Let's say we get guys that just cold snipers. You build a offensive world out of that you can just destroy teams. That's really what it comes down to in basketball, right? You just need a basic play that bends the defense consistently. No matter what you do, you are effed if you try to play this a certain way, and then it's always we're just trying to limit. That's what the Rockets are doing against these teams. We are going to give up points. You want to get to that point where teams are saying, I know you're going to score. I just don't want that to score. That's the sign of a successful playoff offense. But with everybody, this sometimes me, sometimes you love it in the regular season, not really going to be great in the playoffs, right? Your guys got to be the guys. But, these are the great questions. These are the great things you find out from your guys when they get into these series, man. What if, we playing the Warriors and they had this game and it was intense? How did they come out in game 2, game 3? You know what I mean? This is the joy and excitement that you should have for playoff hoops. Shout out to the Houston Cougars, man. Shout out to the Houston Cougars going to the national championship. Coming back, fighting back. We are in a golden age of Houston sports right now. We're in a golden age of Houston sports. Save the Astros. And I think that we should cherish it because last time things were this good was damn near doing right when Harvey hit, I think, right? Wasn't that like the year where the Texans were in the playoffs, the Rockets were in the playoffs, and the Astros were in the playoffs? I don't know. It might be 16 or 17, one of those years. I'm not taking those for granted, bro. We just went through some nasty stuff. Y'all should be celebrating. Your Rockets, number 2 in the West, putting belt to ass on old foes, exercising demons, and I'm here for it. If you're new to the channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button. If you like this video, hit the like button. Keep rocking with the Chop Shop. I'm going to keep dropping that fire.
DJ Candlestick. Chop Not Slap Show.